Good morning. As we begin this morning service, we will sing hymn number 352, Amazing Grace, verses 1, 2, and 5.
But now and how we love you.
Good morning again. As I do this reflection for this morning, we're observing the fourth Sunday in Lent. And it's a very strange feeling for each one of us. It's a time that we generally gather in the sanctuary. But here I am, trying to comfort myself in this space that God has provided me. In a space that we all used to share in the past, now confined to our own spaces. But yet, in that space that God has put us in, we are comforted because we have a faithful God. Today's reflection is drawn from 1 Samuel chapter 16, 1 to 13, Psalm 23, a very dear psalm for many of us, and Paul's letter to Ephesians, chapter 5, verses 8 to 14, and the gospel reading from John, chapter 9, 1 to 41. As I was meditating on these scriptures for today, I was drawn to a different situation that would have occurred in the past. Our ancestors, many of us know that there were very similar situations in the past. And one that comes to my mind is Martin Luther's letter written to Reverend Dr. Johann Hess, a pastor at Brussels. After receiving repeated letters from him, Martin he responds to him saying, "I should have answered long ago, but God has for some time disciplined and scourged me so severely that I have been unable to do much reading or writing. It is because that on July the 6th, 1527, Luther suffered a severe attack of cerebral anemia, an illness from which he suffered repeatedly. So he justifies the delay in his response. And it's a great way that he starts writing the letter saying, "Grace and peace from God our Father and our Lord Jesus Christ." And he talks about this epidemic that they are faced with. What else is the epidemic but a fire? It's just a fire, which instead of consuming wood and straw, devours life and body. And he asks Reverend Dr. John Hess to consider how important it is. And he tells him, you ought to think this way, because God's decree that the enemy has sent us a poison, a deadly offer. So he pleads with God, saying, therefore I shall ask God mercifully to protect us. And he responds, giving him some advice, wonderful advice, which is so similar to our situation. He says, then I shall fumigate, help purify the air, administer medicine, and take it. I shall avoid places and persons where my presence is not needed, in order not to become contaminated, and thus perchance infect and pollute others. So deep concern he has for his friends, his neighbors, his community. And he goes on to say, this I want to do because, not to cause their death as a result of my negligence. And today we are constantly reminded. It's so familiar. Imagine in the 16th century, Martin Luther is advising his fellow colleague, Johann Hess. And exactly what we are asked to do and follow. And we should do that not just out of concern, but we should also do that not a result of one's negligence. And his concern goes further for his community. If my neighbor needs me, however, I shall not avoid place or person, but will go free. Last week we provided a community lunch in downtown Oshawa. It was just that one meal, which could have meant so much for these individuals, the homeless. But as they collected their lunch packs and walked away, it gave me a very different feeling. I was telling myself, God, will I see these people again? Will I meet my friends who live on the streets? So here we see, this is such a God-fearing faith. At home, we have been listening to one of our favorite musicians, Louis Armstrong's song. What a wonderful word. It constantly reminds of both the bright, blessed day and the dark, sacred night. What a contrast he builds. And it's a constant reminder for each one of us, not just to focus on ourselves as human beings, but the entire creation of God. The darkest valley the psalmist refers to is literally a valley of deep darkness, literally. And Paul's letter to Ephesians, it points us to an ancient hymn. Sleeper, awake, rise from the dead. Here we see that the light reveals a compromising scene, and we hear a hasty. It's not what it looks like. Sometimes our eyes deceive us, and complex truths are obscured by a confounding appearance. Everything seems all right. But then we know one by one, as we count the numbers, people are passing away. Because sometimes our eyes deceive us. Everything seems all right. Everything seems quiet. But the enemy has intruded into our lives. And as Martin Luther defines the theology of the cross as daring to call a thing what it is. God dares to do this even when we don't. When lit a certain way, the cross is a scandal, and death a shroud. But in the light of dawn, everything that becomes visible is light because of Christ. Let us pray. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. O God of consolation, we come before you today, bowed down by grief, in mourning for what has been lost. We carry our own pain as well as that of others who have been affected. We believe that when we suffer, you enter into our suffering. Even when we feel most alone, we know that you never abandon us. Strengthen our faith in your presence at this time of loss. Sanctify our tears, heal our broken hearts. When the time is right, show us what needs to be done in order to move forward. Experiences of grief and loss remind us of our utter dependence on you. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, who suffered and died for us, have mercy on us all. Amen.